Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Rox Burkey. Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
Welcome to Indie Beacon. I'm Rox Burkey, your host for this evening, and we have just a really fun show planned for tonight with Theresa Goodrich, a lady from America's Heartland. Welcome, Theresa.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, I'm delighted to have this conversation and be able to share you with all of our listeners. Mm-hmm. So, I think we need to start really part of you and part of what you have done with your books is really based on American Heartland. So you grew up there, and when you want to go explore America and talk about America, what do? You
get in a car.
And so that's what you have done, and you have two amazing books out. And we're going to talk about Two Lane Gems. Let's talk about volume number 1. How did you talk your husband into this?
Well, as I say in the books a few times, he's a saint. But the first book is about a road trip we took from the Chicago area to San Diego and back. And I had done the San Diego Travel and Adventure Show a few years, and I said, what do you think about driving this time? Because I was just getting into travel writing, and his response was, well, how long do you think we'll need? And he said, 3 weeks, a month. And I'm like, I love you. And yes. And so that's how I just asked him if he would be open to it, and he ran with it, or drove with it, as the case would be.
Okay, so you have your built-in chauffeur.
Mm-hmm.
You go from Chicago to San Diego. So that's a very interesting trip. If you think about America, went, you had to go down and over, right?
Right.
So what states did you go through?
Oh, let's see. Do you say what states did we go through?
Yeah.
Okay, so we obviously started in Illinois, and then Missouri, a corner of Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and then California. And then on the way back, we went through Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Kansas, and then Missouri again, and then back a little sliver of Iowa, and then back into Illinois. So we covered several states.
So in doing that, in the first volume where you talked about all of those different activities, you saw and see America from a perspective that people that get on airplanes or even ride on trains don't often get. I mean, there's a reason you call this Two-Lane James.
Absolutely. It's called, especially the Midwest, it's called flyover country, which is a complete misnomer, because you should drive through this country and through these states, because there is so much to see. And it's just amazing until you get on those 2 lanes, get off the highway, because that's homogenous. You're going to see the same billboards. You're going to see the same fast food restaurants and rest areas. You get on the 2 lanes, and then you get to actually see the personality of this country and how it changes based on the state, the climate, the people. It's a really intimate way to explore. I love it.
No, I mean, it's very exciting. If you think about history and how a lot of people actually took vacations, I mean, I remember as a kid hopping in the car and taking a vacation across the country. I mean, tell me, did you actually get on Route 66?
We did. My husband and I drove Route 66 in 2011. We drove the entire route there and back in 16 days. And that was a turning point in our relationship. We'd only been dating a little over a year at that point, and the way out was just loggerheads. We got to Santa Monica, and we're like, okay, we need to make a decision. Are we together, or is the drive home going to be it? And, well, you can see where we are. But we ended up getting married on 6/6 because that was such a turning point in our relationship. And then for the first trip when we drove to San Diego, we hit spot parts of Route 66. But because we've done that, and it's a journey that many people have taken and it's been written about, we wanted to go to some places that might not have been covered so voluminously.
And that really makes your book exciting. So, Two Lane Gems and going through volume 1, going to San Diego, you had some highlight points that you wanted to talk about, you wanted to share. So, for a couple of your favorite, let's start with the eating places. What did you find that was really good from a food perspective?
Well, this is kind of funny, but we found the best fried pickles ever in Dixon, Missouri. And it's a town, you know, it's this tiny little town in Pulaski County, but we were staying at this B&B. Well, B&B's, it's a ranch, or it's on a private lake, and the owner took us around in this cantankerous four-wheeler called Wilma, as in Flintstone, because you felt like you were, you know, kind of pedaling with your feet. And he knew we were going to Dixon. He said, "You've got to get the fried pickles. They're the best you've ever had." And he was true. He was right. So that was definitely one of the culinary highlights. Do you think fried pickles culinary? But yeah.
So part of what you do in your books is you really highlight different things. So eateries is certainly one thing that you always rely upon on a road trip, but you also seem to like historical buildings as well. So what did you discover that's part of volume 1 that you found were some real good gems of historical buildings?
I love history. I love learning about how a place began and what made it the way it is. And one of the favorite places was the 1886 Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. And it used to be a women's college and a hospital, and it's now this supposedly haunted hotel. We didn't meet any ghosts, but it's just this, you can feel the history as soon as you pull up the hill, and there are no right angles in that town. So that was part of it. But we also went to Tonopah, Nevada, specifically because they have the oldest working electric elevator west of the Mississippi there.
Really?
Yes. So, and this town, it's basically, it was just a rest area between Las Vegas and Reno. There's really not a whole lot around there. And when we talked to people, they said they do their grocery shopping in Bishop, California, or they would drive the 2 hours down to Las Vegas because it's that small. But they still had the oldest working electric elevator in this, and it, once again, another hotel. But it had been there since the 1800s and had another ghost story, which that was just a random occurrence. But
Okay, so how many times did you go up and down this elevator? I have to know.
I think we went up and down 4 times. So.
That's my girl.
Yeah.
So what did you find was one of the most endearing qualities with regards to San Diego? Because it's, you know, it's always been known as kind of a Navy town.
Well, that's endearing personally because my husband's and my nephews and nieces are in the Navy.
There you go.
So that's, you know, we and my in-laws live in Oceanside, so we've got that personal connection as well. We loved going to the Oceanside Sunset Market. It's just I love going to farmers markets in general whenever I'm traveling, because then you get to meet the producers in the area and you meet the people who live there and create whatever it is you're going to be eating or taking with you on the road to have later. And the Sunset Market is great because it's just this conglomeration of all the personalities that make up Oceanside. That was definitely one of the most endearing parts.
Now, I think what's really telling in volume number 1 is this wonderful little red truck that's on the cover. Is that what you drove?
No, we actually drove a Kia Sorento. We were driving up 395 to Bishop from Joshua Tree, and that truck was just in front of us, and I thought I took a picture and it ended up, it just perfect, and it seemed to encapsulate what the book was about, what the trip was about.
So that's a long time. I mean, that was over 6,000 miles that you were on the road for that first trip that you guys took. You know, I mean, that's close quarters. You and your husband, relatively early married. You didn't kill each other?
No, no. In fact, I have a chapter 18 is how not to kill your partner on a road trip. Because we had, especially after driving Route 66, when we were still dating, and that being such a turning point, when we took this trip, we knew that we were going to have to essentially pick our battles. So, and if we were going to get upset, we had to decide what was important and what wasn't. And when you're in such close quarters with no place to go, you're in a metal box, and that's it. And there's no going into the living room or going to a different floor because it's just the two of you all the time. So we learned how to, be patient, be flexible, know when to shut up and not talk. And then also if we did get upset, there was one time in that trip that we started to get upset, and I just looked at him and I said, battle picked. And he said, okay, got it. That was it.
So it's kind of fun because it forces you to have a conversation.
Yes.
You picked a lot of states and a lot of places where there isn't really great cell reception.
Mm-hmm.
Not like you could play on your smartphone. I mean,
right.
To look at things, you took great pictures along the way.
Thank you.
But you still found yourself at times in some of the places you stayed surrounded by turkeys.
That was in Palo Duro Canyon, and we were camping. And as soon as we had pulled into, we got our camping spot, and this was in February, so we were pretty much the only ones there. I think there was one other campsite that had somebody in there in the campground that we were. So it was just us. And in the morning, I got up and I figured I'm going to be writing in my journal, and I'm fixing my coffee, and it's just going to be this glorious early morning in the Texas Panhandle. As I'm waiting for my coffee to percolate, a deer comes up to the front of the car that we were driving, the SUV, and that was charming. And then all of a sudden, all these turkeys start surrounding me, and they are just mad. They are angry that I'm there, and the toms start fluffing their feathers and hissing at me, and they end up, I took video, and it's a good thing I did, because when my husband got up later, I was telling him about this. He's like, you're making stuff in. I was like, no, I got a video. It's true.
So I mean, that's some very exciting footage to be able to be that close to nature.
Yes.
Wild turkeys, which is probably something you didn't see when you were growing up, at least not in mass like that.
Mm-mm.
Really wanted to roast them, didn't you? Come on.
I actually looked at him. I said, it's February. You're safe.
Now that's funny. So then you decided you were going to do Two Lane Gems Volume 2, which is focused on a different area, and the cover is amazing because it has some very, very beautiful creatures on there. So how did you decide that?
How did I decide what the cover was going to be?
Uh-huh.
Well, I figured that because the first volume was the southwestern loop from the Chicago area, and that's one thing that's great about living here, is that we're centrally located.
Right.
For the most part. So this one was going to be a northwestern loop, and a big part of that was that my husband grew up in Missoula, Montana, and his parents grew up in eastern Washington. So we decided to drive out to the Oregon coast, do more of a northwestern loop, and then I could meet some family that I'd never met before, and so that was the biggest deciding factor for it. Another reasoning for it was because there have been so many wildfires in that area, and so we wanted to go and show that you don't need to stay away, that the landscape, it recovers. Mother Nature is incredible, and life will find a way. So that was another, we wanted to go there after those fires and show that there's still so much beauty to see.
And I think with that, that is an excellent place for us to take a pause. Let us hear from our sponsors. So stick around. We'll be back in a minute.
The 5th Annual Authors Marketing Event is coming to Granbury, Texas, July 24th through the 27th. Join us and learn from the professionals how to properly market and sell yourself and your books. Go to ame.authorsmarketingguild.com for all the details. That's ame.authorsmarketingguild.com.
I'm Rox Burkey.
And I'm Charles Brakefield. We're award-winning co-authors Brakefield and Burkey of the Enigma book series. There are 10 books in the series, with book number 11 planned for release in January 2020.
Each story has a central technology focus ranging from identity theft to cryptocurrency and now AI wars. These adult techno thrillers pit cyber good guys against cyber thugs across the darknet.
In our world, technology is today's weapon of choice. You can enjoy ebook format, paper, or Audible. We want your feedback.
Until the next story, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, hello there, my friends. My name is Randy James, independent voiceover producer in the Dallas, Texas area, available to write and record a 30-second commercial, much like the one you're hearing right now. It's a great way to help increase awareness and exposure to your book title. It's easy to do. Simply call me and we'll brainstorm on a few ideas, and in a few hours, I'll whip something up and send you a digital file ready to use. Remember, call or text me, Randy James, at 214-762-1942.
Hello, I am the author and poet Denise Bryson. I am the author of The Things That Cross My Mind, Love's Reality, both in book and audio form. I am also noted as one of the best poets of 2011. I have 2 new projects coming up. One is the Blinky series, where Blinky tells us all about our coins and our bills for our children. I also have a book coming out called Say Ye. It's quotes from Denise Bryson, just inspirational and that will help you along the way.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
Hi, and welcome back to Indie Beacon. I am here today with Theresa Goodrich, and we're talking about her travel books, which are just amazing collections of different places across this country.
Hello.
Hey, so we were talking before we took our short break, we were talking about volume 2 on 2 Lane Gems. So, you know, it's got the wonderful bison on it, and it was a northwestern kind of a trek that you took. What were some of the highlights on that trip?
Well, definitely the picture that is on the cover. We camped in the Badlands National Park, and we did not plan a lot on this trip, including this staying at Badlands. And we got there, we ended up getting the last campsite in Sage Creek. And Sage Creek Campground is free. You can just pop a tent, put your tent up wherever. But one thing that I didn't know is it's right in the middle of the bison. They've got all these signs everywhere saying, stay 100 yards from bison because they will kill you. But then this campground is right in the middle. It's surrounded by bison, but it was beautiful. So that picture I took when I got up in the morning and opened my tent, came out, and that was right across the little dirt road that wraps around Sage Creek. And there he was. Oh, that's hard to describe and how magnificent it was, but I didn't really have to zoom for that photo.
So, I mean, that's part of the exciting viewpoint that you have from making this kind of a trip.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have seen things in a relatively easygoing manner and being surrounded by this beautiful country.
Yes, it's
purpose to writing these books. I mean, why did you want to do this?
Well, my dad was an artist, and I grew up weekends in the summer. We would pile into the van and Dad would exhibit at art fairs, mainly in the Midwest, but also as far as Colorado or Southern Florida. And so I grew up seeing the country from behind a window passing by. Didn't have iPads, didn't have phones, didn't even have DVD players back then. Right. So what I saw, my screen was that window, and I grew up wanting, and I always wanted to write as long as I could remember. That's what I wanted to do. And so I wanted to tell these stories. I wanted to know what was happening beyond the window. And it took me until I was 47 years old, but I did it. So it's something I knew I always wanted to do, was travel this country and tell its stories, because there's so much beauty and there's so much kindness, and every place has something unique to it. I want to.
Volume 2 of your wonderful books. Mm-hmm. What are some of the highlights on that trip, other than being camping in the middle of a bunch of bison, which is pretty spectacular, actually? What else really, was top of mind?
Oh, it's a lot of it was the people. We camped at Diamond. We did a lot of camping on this trip, because when you're gone for a month and you're entrepreneurs, then you camp because it's a lot less expensive. So we were at Diamond Lake State Park in Oregon, and we met a couple, and they were probably in their 20s, but they were volunteers at the state park, and they were from Highland Park, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. So they weren't, their home isn't too far from our home. And they were just fantastic, and they were telling us about the tricks they'd learned about how to scare away grizzly bears if you happen to see them. And then they found out that my husband proposed at a waterfall. So they said, oh, you've got to take this brochure. And it had all these waterfalls that were in this cluster right around the park. So that was just connecting with them and hearing their stories. And then we met these volunteers, also in Oregon, at Hostess Rox Lighthouse. And they were telling us about how they go to one state park or national park, and they volunteer for a couple months. And then they go to another park and they volunteer for a couple months. But that's how how they're handling their retirement and how they see the country. So those kinds of stories. And then we went to this, randomly found this tiny Frontier Gateway Museum in Glendive, Montana. And it was just, I love community museums because it's the people who live there sharing their history and their family's past. So it's it's just lovingly curated. And they had this, not kind of like a March Madness. So they were pitting different exhibits at the museum against each other to find which one was the favorite. And I just thought, I've never seen anything like that at any of the big museums. And here's this small museum who's doing something fun and interactive, and you really get to explore in a unique way. I could go on and on.
So, the pictures you must have from these trips, and obviously you took your husband to every single waterfall so he could propose. That is something that is a memory. You can take out those pictures for years. Mm-hmm. Like families used to do in scrapbooks and things like that, and tell a story about what you did. That's very special. So the books are written for what kind of an audience?
They're written as travel memoirs and travel logs. So they're written for an audience that either wants to take a trip like this, mm-hmm. and they use it as inspiration, and they'll bookmark the different places they want to visit. But it's because it's written in first person. It's also, if you can't take a trip like this, and most people can't, it's hard to take a month off of work and just travel the country. So it's written for people who want to live vicariously and feel like they've experienced it themselves. So my audience tends to be mid-20s to, whatever age.
Exactly. And so one of the special things I know that you and I have shared, because we've spoken before, mm-hmm. You have been in and around Chicago a lot. That's where you live, that's your base. But you actually have now created a book 3. But this is a little bit different focus, isn't it? I think your launch party place is amazing. So why don't you share that quickly with our audience?
Okay, so my third book is called Living Landmarks of Chicago, and I've chosen 50 landmarks that are in downtown Chicago, and I'm telling the stories behind them. So bringing them to life, so you know how Grant Park came to be, and how the Blackstone Hotel, which is the location of the launch party, you know, the stories when the smoke-filled room phrase originated there, and supposedly Al Capone got his haircut in the basement, and they still have the barber shop there. But that's those kinds. How did they come to be? And beyond just the fact that, okay, this has this marble and that marble, and this was built in this year, why? And what did it mean? And so that's the launch party's March 26th, and it sold out in about 3 hours, so yay!
Oh my gosh, it's totally sold out?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And so that's going to be book number 3
Mm-hmm.
is going to focus on Chicago. And so, you know, this launch party, what do you hope to achieve at this party? How many people are promised to be there?
Well, the capacity is 60. We had to shut it down. Well, I've got a wait list now. But what I really want, I want to connect with the people who are also passionate about learning about Chicago's past and the history. So that's what I truly love, is meeting fellow readers and history buffs and people who enjoy storytelling face to face. And so that's what that's what I really love about this. And then my husband, who's a musician, is going to be singing era-appropriate tunes or songs as people arrive. And then we're having a Prohibition-era cocktail for people who, when they arrive as well. So it's all that whole setting the scene and bringing people into the story, and then meeting them as well and connecting is just magical.
Well, and how exciting to have that reflects on the Roaring 20s in our current Roaring 20s.
Yes.
Couldn't have planned that one any better if you had tried, Theresa. So unfortunately, we need to take a short break. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the events outside of your launch that you're going to be at and how people can connect with you. So please stick around.
Great time.
Sorry, I know I can get a little verbose.
You're fine. You are just fine. I think you're enthusiastic about what you're doing, and no one can ever complain about that.
Theresa, do you have a pen and paper handy, or your computer up?
Do I have what?
A pen and paper handy, or is your computer up?
Yes.
I need for you to email me your covers and your picture.
He's going to integrate them into this particular video, and so you'll be very happy with it. And both of these covers are really, really good, Alan. You're going to love them.
Thank you. I'm just making a note too. And I will do this as soon as we shut down. I'll email the covers in May. Now, do you prefer just a flat cover, or I've got the more kind of 3D-ish?
Just a flat.
Okay.
And your show is scheduled for March 24th.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So launch party's March 26th.
And you have my email address, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we posted on the bathroom wall earlier, Alan. We're good.
Now, if I can only get married. All righty.
I've got it hidden.
All right, Rox, whenever you're ready.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon, and I'm here with Theresa Goodrich. We're having so much fun talking about road trips across America. And I think, Theresa, in talking to you, it's amazing. We always get compared to like Europe, that we don't have the rich history. But I think your stories and your books have proven that that's just not the case.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to agree with you that there is so much complexity, and we do have our own history. Maybe it doesn't, we have our own history.
And we have our own flavor. Every city, every state has a personality that's reflected in the buildings, in the history, in the paintings, and so forth. So that's what you're capturing, and that's remarkable.
Thank
But
you.
let people know what other books do we have in the works, Theresa?
Well, after Living Landmarks, then I will be working on Tulane Gems Volume 3. I'll be researching that later this year, and that will be covering the northeastern part of the country. And so eventually I'll be covering the entire United States with this Tulane Gem series. Digging into the history around all of it and finding those Tulane gems.
There you go. I think that's just awesome. So wherever you're going, I hope you publish out on your social medias where you're going to be, so people can, reach out and wave out their window. And so, speaking of social medias, how can people follow you?
Well, I am the local tourist everywhere on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. So that's, if you do the local tourist, then that's me.
And so your biggest fan is your husband, or he wouldn't be driving you all over.
Yeah.
But you do have a lot of followers, and you do have people who connect with you. So do you have a website that people can go to?
thelocaltourist.com. That's actually, I started it as a hobby in 2002 as a guide to Chicago. So this last book, Living Landmarks, is coming back to that. And so, but thelocaltourist.com covers all of the travels that I do across the U.S. as well as Chicago. And then for the books specifically, then I have the site tulanegems.com.
Okay, so I know that your books are available in lots of places. So could you name just a few for those people that can't get to your launch party that want to get one of your books and start reading it immediately?
They are available on The Local Tourist, so you can buy them directly from me, and then I can autograph them. And then they're also on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Walmart, online, all of those sites.
They really sound like a perfect gift for those that are getting ready for retirement and want to go explore different places. So kids, get out your little, and get your parents an autographed copy to go along with their anniversary or their birthday. Mm-hmm. So where are you going to be after your launch party? What's your next big event that's planned?
The next big event is actually I'm mentoring at a blogging conference in Buffalo, New York called Blog House. So I will be there the end of May. In June, I am going to be at the Rolling Meadows Library. I'll be speaking there, doing some reading about, I just missed over. April, I will be at the Crystal Lake Public Library, which is another suburb of Chicago, doing a reading from Living Landmarks and telling some of the stories behind the Chicago history as well.
How fun.
All of those events can be, they're all on The Local Tourist.
Oh, they are. Oh, that's good. So there's a calendar, and you also do an email out to your fans, don't you?
Yes, I do. I send out a Wanderlust Wednesday, and each Wednesday I send out, it's kind of more like a personal letter, just saying this is a look inside the life of a travel writer, as well as providing travel inspiration, different stories that I've written about places. I also have a partnership with Purdue University, so their students will submit stories, so I'll feature those as well, and travel tips and quotes, and just basically inspiration to get out of your front door and see what this country is.
I'll tell you, Theresa, it has been so much fun in talking to you. Tulane Gems, there are 2 volumes out now. Volume 3 is coming soon. And the Living Landmarks in Chicago. I mean, what a remarkable way that you have to share the history of this country with everyone. I want to thank you for being here, and I hope that we get together again soon.
I do as well. Thank you. This is wonderful.
Alrighty, thank you very much. I'll add those images into the audio or the video. And when it gets closer to the release date, we'll send you the links and stuff so you'll be able to share them and all that fun stuff. All right?
Okay, great. I will, as soon as we hang up, then I will get the headshot and the book covers to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rox. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks,
Thank
Alan.
you.
Bye, Theresa. Thank you
Bye,
again.
Rox. Thank you.
Thank you for watching or listening to Indie Beacon Radio. Our sponsor, IndieLector.store, is the only bookstore that pays authors their fair share for book sales. Help authors to succeed and enjoy a great book by supporting them at IndieLector.store. Enjoy a 10% discount with coupon code SHOPPER20 at IndieLector.store. Coupon valid until December 31st, 2020. That's IndieLector.store, coupon code SHOPPER20.
What started as a love letter to her son has become an international love letter for all parents to their children. Now you can read acclaimed author Shanalee Charbonneau's story to your children. When her son was very sick, she calmed him by singing her own song to him. She turned that song into the book, My Mama Loves Me, I'm Her Little Boy. She wrote 3 more magical books for all parents and kids 6 and under. Available at Indie Lector, Amazon, and all local and national outlets.
We Fiction is a fun, fast-paced writing contest for any author team to create a book based on what readers submit for plot, characters, locations, and even plot twists. Learn more about this unique contest at wefiction.dearindie.org.
Authors Marketing Guild is a membership-owned organization designed to help authors succeed and learn how to better market and sell themselves and their books. Join us at authorsmarketingguild.com and receive so many benefits you'll wonder why you didn't join sooner. That's authorsmarketingguild.com.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon, and I'm here with Theresa Goodrich. We're having so much fun talking about road trips across America. And I think, Theresa, in talking to you, it's amazing. We always get compared to like Europe, that we don't have the rich history. But I think your stories and your books have proven that that's just not the case.
Mm-hmm.
But,
We
go ahead.
sorry. No, I was just going to agree with you that there is so much complexity, and we do have our own history. Maybe we have our own history.
And we have our own flavor. Every city, every state has a personality that's reflected in the buildings, in the history, in the paintings, and so forth. So that's what you're capturing, and that's remarkable.
Thank you.
But let people know, what other books do we have in the works, Theresa?
Well, after Living Landmarks, then I will be working on Tulane Gems Volume 3. I'll be researching that later this year, and that will be covering the northeastern part of the country. And so eventually I'll be covering the entire United States with this Tulane Gem series, digging into the history around all of it and finding those Tulane gems.
There you go. I think that's just awesome. So wherever you're going, I hope you publish out on your social medias where you're going to be, so people can, reach out and wave out their window. And so, speaking of social medias, how can people follow you?
Well, I am The Local Tourist everywhere on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. So that's, if you do The Local Tourist, then that's me.
And so your biggest fan is your husband, or he wouldn't be driving you all over.
Yeah.
But you do have a lot of followers, and you do have people who connect with you. So do you have a website that people can go to?
thelocaltourist.com. That's actually, I started it as a hobby in 2002 as a guide to Chicago. So this last book, Living Landmarks, is coming back to that. But thelocaltourist.com covers all of the travels that I do across the U.S. as well as Chicago. And then for the books specifically, then I have the site TulaneGems.com.
Okay. So I know that your books are available in lots of places. So could you name just a few for those people that can't get to your launch party that want to get one of your books and start reading it immediately?
They are available on the local tourists, so you can buy them directly from me, and then I can autograph them. And then they're also on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, Walmart, online, all of those sites.
They really sound like a perfect gift for those that are getting ready for retirement and want to go explore different places. So kids, get out your little, and get your parents an autographed copy to go along with their anniversary or their birthday. Mm-hmm. So where are you going to be after your launch party? What's your next big event that's planned?
The next big event is actually I'm mentoring at a blogging conference in Buffalo, New York, called Blog House. So I will be there the end of May. In June, I am going to be at the Rolling Meadows Library. I'll be speaking there, doing some reading about, I just missed over. April, I will be at the Crystal Lake Public Library, which is another suburb of Chicago, doing a reading from living landmarks and telling some of the stories behind the Chicago history as well.
Well, how fun.
All of those events can be, they're all on the local tourist.
Oh, they are. Oh, that's good. So there's a calendar, and you also do an email out to your fans, don't you?
Yes, I do. I send out a Wanderlust Wednesday, and each Wednesday I send out, it's kind of more like a personal letter, just saying this is a look inside the life of a travel writer, as well as providing travel inspiration. Different stories that I've written about places. I also have a partnership with Purdue University, so their students will submit stories, so I'll feature those as well, and travel tips and quotes, and just basically inspiration to get out of your front door and see what this country is.
I'll tell you, Theresa, it has been so much fun in talking to you. Two Lane Gems, there are 2 volumes out now. Volume 3 is coming soon, and the living landmarks in Chicago. I mean, what a remarkable way that you have to share the history of this country with everyone. I want to thank you for being here, and I hope that we get together again soon.
I do as well. Thank you. This is wonderful.
Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website.
Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Rox Burkey.
Indie Beacon Radio is produced by B. Allen Bourgeois for Authors Marketing Guild LLC, copyright 2020. Voiceover by Randy James, Lydia Bello, and B. Allen Bourgeois. To be a sponsor of the show or for more information, please email us at info@authorsmarketingguild.com. To be interviewed for the show, please complete the form at radio.authorsmarketingguild.com. Music Always Rejoice by Ram